Hello everybody, my name is Colbot, and today I'm going to be showing you some new features that are going to be added in the next update of Minecraft. So, you may know about the upcoming 1.17 Caves and Cliffs update, and you might be really excited about it, but what all does it really add? It adds a lot of new things so far, and we're in just snapshot 20W51A so far. So not everything has been added yet, but these are the things that are in here right now. The first feature is Amethyst. Amethyst is found in Amethyst geodes, which generate Y63 and below, but usually generate Y43 and below. Inside, there is usually an air pocket right next to the actual geode. Rarely this air pocket will not generate, and it will generate just the geode. Inside the geode you have a few different types of blocks. You've got amethyst blocks, you have budding amethyst, then you have the amethyst cluster, the large amethyst bud, medium amethyst bud, and the small amethyst bud. In survival mode, these blocks are obtainable with regular pickaxe. If you break the amethyst cluster with a silk touch, you will obtain the actual item. If you break them with a fortune, you will receive amethyst shards. You will also receive amethyst shards with a regular pickaxe without fortune, although not as many. These amethyst bud blocks are not obtainable with a regular pickaxe, but you can obtain them with silk touch, and they also drop nothing with fortune. Budding amethyst blocks are not obtainable at all in survival mode. If you break them with a silk touch pickaxe, they will drop nothing, as well as if you break them with a fortune pickaxe or a regular pickaxe. If you try and push budding amethyst with a piston, it just breaks. If you try to pull it with a sticky piston, it will not be pulled. All of these blocks I am mentioning do make music when they are placed or broken, and these bud blocks and clusters make music when you walk on them as well. The blocks found outside the amethyst crystal, regardless of whether it has an air pocket or not, are calcite and tuff. Calcite and tuff currently do not have any use in survival Minecraft other than being a decoration block. Their textures may change in the future. The budding amethyst blocks, when you leave them out, any side that is exposed to air has a chance to grow one of these. That small amethyst bud will eventually get larger and larger. It'll turn into a medium amethyst bud, then a large amethyst bud, and finally an amethyst cluster. The next thing is the candle, and they come in all sorts of different colors. They've got regular colors, and then as well as one for each of the dyes. If we take a look at them, they're all the same, they're just different colors, but we'll grab two just to show you. Just like sea pickles, they can cluster. They're actually not by default lit, and they don't give out any light, but you need to get a flint and steel and light them for them to give off light. And then I'll show these little particles and give a light level of 12. They can also be placed down on cake and lit. You cannot place more than one because obviously right clicking it starts to eat the cake and pops off the candle. But you can craft candles with a piece of honeycomb and a piece of string, and that will give you one candle. In survival mode, that would only give you one candle. The next thing is copper. Copper comes in blocks, and it has all sorts of different variants. It's got cut copper and the regular copper. And the cut copper can actually be made into stairs and slabs. But when you leave a copper block out in the weather for long enough, it will actually start to turn greenish. And it's got a progression, so that progression looks like this. And so it'll start like that, and eventually it'll turn to this. And it's a very, very long time, and then eventually it gets all the way over there. Now, if you want to use copper in your base without it actually turning, you can wax the copper. And the way you wax copper is you combine it in a crafting table with honeycomb, and that will give you waxed copper, which will be placed down, and it will not do the oxidation process, as it's called. And you can actually wax any kind of copper, so you don't have to only wax the fully one. So you can wax anything. You can even wax the variants of stairs and such. Now the way you get copper is copper ore, and copper ore generates naturally Y level 64 and below. You smelt the ore to get an ingot. To get the block, you only need 4 to get a copper block. The next feature is dripstone. There are 2 things of dripstone. There's the dripstone block, and there is pointed dripstone. And pointed dripstone can be placed on any kind of block, either on the floor or on the ceiling. And if you actually place multiple, it will multiply. And if you have it going like that, it will connect like that. If you have something, it will drop. It will, you see, so you can, if you go up really, really high and we get like, I don't know, so we get chicken or something. When the block above is removed, it will drop and it will actually do damage to the thing. The same way, if you drop a mob onto it, it doesn't work with chickens because they fly, but if you drop a mob onto it, they will do a lot more damage than if you dropped them onto a regular ground. So if we drop a player from it, we take a lot more damage than we would. See, even just jumping 1 block will give us half a heart each time. Another feature is that cauldrons can now hold lava, and the reason this is useful is because when you put water or lava above the dripstone block, which has a pointed dripstone attached to it, the particles will actually drip down the thing that's above it. And eventually, if you have a cauldron underneath it, the cauldrons will actually fill up with the thing that's above them. And obviously, I sped that up a little bit, but they will do it. This obviously means that there will be renewable lava sources because you can see that the lava here, and obviously you can remove, if I don't have, you can remove the lava from the cauldron. The next thing is a lightning rod. Lightning rods can be crafted with 3 copper ingots and a crafting table like that, and they can be placed down on the ground just like that. During a thunderstorm, lightning rods will actually attract lightning, and you saw it right there. The lightning will actually hit the lightning rod as opposed to other things in the area. So if you have like a wooden house, you could put it on top of your house and it would attract that lightning to it. You can also take a redstone output from the lightning rod, which, if we wait a little bit for the next lightning strike, turns on just like that. Just while the lightning is striking, the redstone output is on. They can stand without any support, so obviously I don't need that pillar there. I don't know if that's a feature. They can also be placed sideways and upside down. Again, I don't know if that's going to be in the real game or not. That's just how it is right now. The next item is powder snow, and this is as a block, and it's a little bit different because it comes in a bucket, but it's right here and you can walk through it. But notice you go slower, and as I walk through it a little bit, the I'll get little freeze marks here, and if I go into survival, eventually my heart will turn blue and I'll start to take damage from it, from just sitting in it. And if I get out, my hearts will turn normal and my field of view will also change and the overlay will gradually fade away. Since it's in a bucket, like other bucket items, it can be dispensed with a dispenser. So if we put powder snow in the dispenser, we activate it, it dispenses out the powder snow and it leaves an empty bucket, and we can actually dispense it back in. Unfortunately, when you try and push it with a piston, it just breaks and goes away forever. However, if a player is wearing leather boots, they will actually not sink in powder snow, and they will not get the freeze particles or anything, no matter how long they stand in it. Also, you can crouch to go down it, but if you wear leather boots, you can actually climb it like scaffolding and kind of just sit wherever you are. So you can just kind of climb it, and it's also like a little bit of a nicer look than scaffolding. I also might not have mentioned that it actually will stand on its own, just like this. When not wearing leather boots, you fall right through it, but a little bit slower, and the same thing for other entities as well. So it's a little bit like cobwebs, except it's a little bit faster. Our next item is a skulk sensor, and it is a redstone component that will give off a redstone signal whenever it hears something happening around it. For example, my footsteps, and you can see that little particle going to it. And the signal strength will actually vary depending on how close the thing is to it. And if you use a comparator on it, it's actually a little bit of a different behavior because it will give off a different signal strength depending on what the thing it hears is. Or footsteps are a low signal. You can check out the frequencies. I'll put it on the screen right now. But the game has a new mechanic for these sculk sensors for vibrations, and it's got a bunch of different sort of tags for different actions that might trigger the sculk sensor. And those tags will actually fall into different signal strengths for the comparator output. They currently do not generate naturally in the game. You can only get them in the created mode inventory or by /give, but that will probably change in the actual version. Now there is a thing called wool occlusion, where if you place wool between the source, and if you can see, if you place wool between the source and it, completely eliminate the output from it. So if you, for example, only wanted to recognize it when the player walked like this, you didn't want to recognize the player walking over here, you could use wool between it. It will also not activate when wool is placed next to it or broken. It is not based on sound, it is based on vibrations, which I said earlier is a new game mechanic. And things like rain do not trigger it because it's sort of an ambient sound that's all an ambient vibration, which is kind of in the air always, and so it kind of gets used to that. So the next thing there is tinted glass. Tinted glass is transparent, just like regular glass, but it actually doesn't let light through it. So if we build ourselves up in a little cage here, there's a torch right there, and it's glass, so you would think that you could have light level here, but there's actually a light level of 0. This would probably be useful for like mob farms where you might want to see if mobs are spawning inside there or not. And it's crafted out of 4 amethyst shards and a piece of regular glass. You make it in a pattern just like this with glass in the middle and an amethyst shard on each side. That will create 2 tinted glass output from it. Another thing worth noting is that when you're in survival mode, if you break it with hand, it will drop itself no matter what, unlike regular glass. No matter what tool you use, if you use it by hand, you do not need Silk Touch to break it. The next thing is an axolotl. And an axolotl, they come in a bunch of different colors, and you can actually pick one up with a bucket. You can pick one up just like you would pick up a fish. It'll give you a bucket of axolotl, which can be placed down in another place. You can breed them using tropical fish or buckets of tropical fish, and you breed them, they give you a baby. Buckets of tropical fish will also work. So they really like tropical fish. If you damage them, they will actually play dead. Let's see if I can get it to do it. It will play dead and it will receive regeneration 1. It's probably based on how real axolotls can regrow their lost limbs, so they will play dead for a little bit, receive regeneration 1, and kind of gain their health back. They will also attack guardians, drowned, squid, fish. They'll attack those when they're tempted with tropical fish. If we get a drowned in here, they won't attack him until they're tempted with tropical fish, and then they'll start to attack him. Our next thing is a bundle. Bundles can be crafted with 2 string and 6 rabbit hide. And you get a bundle that'll look like this, and you can just grab like a bunch of random stuff. So it's an inventory management tool. It holds 1 stack of items, but it allows you to stack items of different types, basically. So for example, 64 birch saplings in a right-clicking. It looks just like this, and this bundle is full because it'll say down there 64 out of 64. And it'll show you an icon of what's in there too. To empty out a bundle, you can just right-click it, and that'll take everything into your hand. But you can actually put multiple items in here. So if you right-click, put that in, say I wanted to put 1 oak log in there, and I'd have that. Maybe a birch sapling and a spruce log. So there it is, and it's 4 out of 64 full. It'll show down at that progress bar there. But then, say I wanted to add half a stack of something, I can add that there, and it'll obviously see like that. But say I wanted to add, I don't know, let's see, a sign. A sign only stacks to 16. It will fill it up much more quickly because it will actually multiply each sign by 4, since the total number of signs that can fit in one stack is divided by 4 from a regular stack of 64. And the same thing for non-stackable items. I put that in, that fills it up immediately because a sword takes up 64 slots. You cannot put shulker boxes in it no matter how hard you try. Shulker boxes just will not go into a bundle at all. But that you can also get a bundle with any amount of any item, even shulker boxes, if you add it in with commands. I'm not going to show that. Another thing is that unlike shulker boxes, they are nestable, so you can have a bundle in a bundle. Each bundle will take up 4 slots in a bundle. So I'm going to go over a little bit more in depth of how you can add things into a bundle. So if you pick up the bundle in your mouse cursor and you right click on something, that will put that thing in the bundle. If you right click on an empty slot, it will take the last item that you added out of the bundle. If there are multiple of an item, even if you added them separately and you right click, it will right click them all out. But you will be able to separately right click out different things. If you have things picked up in your mouse, you can right click on the bundle to put it in the bundle. But if you left click, it just switches it just like a normal item. If you have a bundle sitting in your hotbar and you right click it, it will take out the item so you can put these things wherever you want. And it is the first item, so whichever one is kind of grayed out there, it's the one that you will pick up. When you're not in an inventory, you can empty the entire contents by right clicking. It will drop everything. Next up, we have the spyglass. The spyglass can be crafted with 2 copper ingots and an amethyst shard, and when you get the spyglass, you can right click with it to see far off in the distance. So it's pretty much like Optifine Zoom, except zooms a lot farther. Isn't as easy to use. You can't just press a key. You have to have it in your inventory, and you have to put it in your hand and then use it. You can use it in your offhand as well. Another difference between Optifine Zoom and the spyglass is that you cannot use it in third person. It will just look like this. And obviously if you like this too. So it does have its own unique animation for using it. The final feature actually requires creating a new world because the Dripstone Caves biome has been added, and you can access it by creating a new world with just the Dripstone Caves biome and a single biome setting. It doesn't generate naturally in the world yet, so this is the only way you can currently access it. Here we are. I have found a Dripstone Cave. It kind of generates the dripstone blocks and the dripstone all inside it, and kind of like ravines. I think they are a little bit different. On the top it's just plains biome, but it's got dripstone caves underneath in this biome. But anyways, I think that is it. That is all of the things that are added so far in the 1.17 snapshots. I cannot wait to make another video about the next snapshot that gets released. It has been a little bit since this snapshot has been released, so it should be coming soon. Probably this Wednesday or maybe another Wednesday. But that is it for now, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.